Good evening and welcome to our daily devotional reading. A special welcome to the members of our make-believe monastery. I hope you had a good Friday. Instead of reading philosophy this morning, I read my letter. I like to open my letters at sunrise. It was good to read. And indeed it was included. Oh, you can't see. I hope you took that deep breath with me. If not, let's take another one. Let go of the day and of all those thoughts that haunt you. The to-do list. The things that you could have done better. All those ways in which we chastise ourselves. Let go of everything. Quiet your heart and your mind. And let's listen to Plato. Yesterday we finished off with Socrates telling Theaetetus, the young, I imagine him as like a 13-year-old boy. I'm not sure what the characters in most of Plato's, if not all of Plato's dialogues, are actual real people. So there was a Theaetetus, and his age was probably so that he could have known Socrates before Socrates died, but then as a very young boy. So yesterday we ended with Socrates asking him if he has heard that people get quite annoyed with him. And Theaetetus responds, yes. Socrates, shall I tell you the reason? Theaetetus, by all means. Socrates, bear in mind the whole business of the midwives, and then you will see my meaning better. No woman, as you are probably aware, who is still able to conceive and bear, attends other women, but only those who are past bearing. Yes, I know. The reason of this is said to be that Artemis, the goddess of childbirth, is not a mother, and she honors those who are like herself, but she could not allow the barren to be midwives. Because human nature cannot know the mystery of an art without experience. And therefore she assigned this office to those who are too old to bear. I dare say. And I dare say too, or rather I am absolutely certain that the midwives know better than other who is pregnant and who is not. Very true. And by the use of potions and incantations they are able to arouse the pangs and to soothe them at will. They can make those bear who have a difficulty in bearing, and if they think fit, they can smother the embryo in the womb. They can. Did you ever remark that they are also most cunning matchmakers, and have a thorough knowledge of what unions are likely to produce a brave brood? No, never. Then let me tell you that this is their greatest pride, more than cutting the umbilical cord. And if you reflect, you will see that the same art which cultivates and gathers in the fruits of the earth will be most likely to know in what soils the several plants or seeds should be deposited. Yes, the same art. And do you suppose that with women the case is otherwise? I should think not. Certainly not. But midwives are respectable women who have a character to lose, and they avoid this department of their profession because they are afraid of being called procuresses, which is a name given to those who join together man and woman in an unlawful and unscientific way. And yet the true midwife is also the true and only matchmaker. Clearly. Such are the midwives whose task is a very important one, but not so important as mine. For women do not bring into the world at one time real children and at another time counterfeits, which are with difficulty distinguished from them. If they did, then the discernment of the true and the false birth would be the crowning achievement of the art of midwifery. You would think so. Indeed, I should. Well, my art of midwifery is in most respects like theirs, but differs, in that I attend men and not women, and look after their souls when they are in labor, and not after their bodies. And the triumph of my art is in thorough examination whether the thought which the mind of the young man brings forth is a false idol or a noble and true birth. And like the midwives, I am barren, and the reproach which is often made against me, that I ask questions of others and have not the wit to answer them myself, is very just. The reason is that the God compels me to be a midwife, but does not allow me to bring forth, and therefore I am not myself at all wise, nor have I anything to show which is the invention of or birth of my own soul. But those who converse with me profit. Some of them appear dull enough at first, but afterwards, as our acquaintance ripens, if the God is gracious to them, they all make astonishing progress. And this is the opinion of others as well as in their own. It is quite clear that they never learned anything from me. The many fine discoveries to which they cling are of their own making, but to me and the God they owe their delivery. And the proof of my words is that many of them in their ignorance, either in their self-conceit, despising me, or failing under the influence of others, have gone away too soon, and have not only lost the children of whom I had previously delivered them by an ill bringing up, but they stifled whatever else they had in them by evil communications, being fonder of lies and shams than of the truth. And they have at last ended by seeing themselves as others see them, to be great fools. Aristides, the son of Lysimachus, is one of them, and there are many others. The truants often return to me and beg that I would consort with them again. They are ready to go to me on their knees, and then, if my familiar allows, which is not always the case, I receive them. And they begin to grow again. Dire are the pangs which my art is able to arouse and to ally in those who consort with me, just like the pangs of woman in childbirth. Night and day they are full of perplexity and travail, which is even worse than that of the woman. So much for them. And there are others, Theaetetus, who come to me apparently having nothing in them. And as I know that they have no need of my art, I coax them into marrying someone, and by the grace of God I can generally tell who is likely to do them good. Many of them I have given away to Prodicus, and many to other inspired sages. I tell you this long story, friend Theaetetus, because I suspect, as indeed you seem to think yourself, but you are in labor, great with some conception. Come then to me, who am a midwife's son, and myself a midwife, and do your best to answer the questions which I will ask you. And if I abstract and expose your firstborn, because I discover upon inspection that the conception which you have formed is a vain shadow, do not quarrel with me on that account, as the manner of woman is when their first children are taken from them. For I have actually known some who were ready to bite me when I deprived them of a darling folly. That's literally the words. They did not perceive that I acted from goodwill, not knowing that no God is the enemy of man. That was not within the range of their ideas. Neither am I their enemy in all this. But it would be wrong for me to admit falsehood or to stifle the truth. Once more then, once more then, Theaetetus, or begin again. I repeat my old question. What is knowledge? And do not say that you cannot tell, but quit yourself like a man, and by the help of God you will be able to tell. Theaetetus, at any rate, Socrates, after such an exhortation, I should be ashamed of not trying to do my best. Now he who knows perceives what he knows, and as far as I can see, at present, knowledge is perception. Thesis, the Greek, sense perception, sensation. Knowledge is perception. Bravely said, boy, and that is the way in which you should express your opinion. And now let us examine together this conception of yours, and see whether it is a true birth or a mere wind egg. You say that knowledge is perception. Yes. Well, you have delivered yourself of a very important doctrine about knowledge. It is indeed the opinion of Protagoras, who has another way of expressing it. Man, he says, is the measure of all things, of the existence of things that are, and of the non-existence of things that are not. You have read him. Oh yes, again and again. Does he not say that things are to you such as they appear to you, and to me such as they appear to me, and that you and I are men? Yes, he says so. A wise man is not likely to talk nonsense, so let us try to understand him. The same wind is blowing, and yet one of us may be cold, and the other not. Or one may be slightly, and the other very cold. Quite true. Now, is the wind regarded not in relation to us, but absolutely cold or not? Or are we to say with Protagoras that the wind is cold to him who is cold, and not so to him who is not? I suppose the last. Then it must appear so to each of them. Yes. And appears to him means the same as he perceives. True. Then appearing and perceiving coincide in the case of hot and cold, and in similar instances. For things appear or may be supposed to be to each one such as he perceives them. Yes. Then perception is always of existence, and being the same as knowledge is unerring. Clearly. In the name of the graces, what an almighty wise man Protagoras must have been. He spoke these things in a parable to the common herd, like you and me, but told the truth, his Truth, the name of his book, in secret to his own disciples. What do you mean, Socrates? I am about to speak of a high argument, in which all things are said to be relative. You cannot rightly call anything by any name, such as great or small, heavy or light, for the great will be small and the heavy light. There is no single thing or quality, but out of motion and change and admixture, all things are becoming relatively to one another, which becoming is by us incorrectly called being, but is really becoming. For nothing ever is, but all things are becoming. Summon all philosophers, Protagoras, Heraclitus, Empedocles, and the rest of them, one after another, with the exception of Parmenides. They will agree with you in this. Summon the great masters of every kind of poetry, Epicharmus, the prince of comedy, and Homer of tragedy, when the latter sings of ocean whence sprang the gods, and Mother Theaetetus, does he not mean that all things are the offspring of flux and motion? I think so. Thus for our scripture of the evening. I managed to watch or listen to one lecture on epistemology and metaphysics at the Peterson Academy this morning, and it makes sense really to do the two together, because your understanding of what is, is life becoming? Is all of existence a becoming? Or is all of existence a being? Will determine how you think we could know. Honestly, tonight I feel as if we can't know anything. I am quite a radical agnostic. Human nature cannot know the mystery of an art without experience. I felt a bit... Sometimes I think there's no such thing as penis envy. There's vagina envy. Just this morning I reread an account of a friend of mine of her birth. Well, not her birth narrative, but the birth narrative of her firstborn. And it's either ignorance or hubris. Very severe ignorance or very severe hubris that makes a man say that the birth pangs of one with thought, with an idea to be born, is worse than that of a woman. I think few men have died in giving expression to their thoughts. Plato does have to kind of please explain a little bit, because there are quite a number of Socrates' disciples, known disciples, even his most beloved disciples, that turned out to be really bad men. So Plato kind of has an excuse here of why, because they left Socrates prematurely. And some of them wanted to come back, but then he's familiar. I don't know if you remember, he's familiar, but that he refers to here is daimon. He had a voice. I do not know how literal the voice in his head was, or if it was simply the first appearance of conscience, telling him no when he was about to do something that he wasn't supposed to do. Big things like taking on a new student, big things like fleeing the country when he's about to be executed. No. And small things like crossing a river. The Phaedrus. So Plato here is please explaining why despite Socrates' apparent near divinity, so many of those whom he tried to better weren't very good. And I mean, I feel it. I can feel it. Two things. We shy away from bravely expressing our opinion. Not so much online, but in person sometimes. For fear, maybe, that our darling folly will be taken away from us, that we will be exposed as being fallacious. Is that a word? Being wrong. Or maybe just to fear of being laughed at. But I think those things that we hold to be dear and true, darling folly is like a really, really good way to say it. And I will not forget it. I think it hurts more to realize that that is an illusion than to simply be laughed at. That you are wrong. I think actually being laughed at can soften the blow. I do appreciate the sentiment as I've expressed yesterday in relation to Stephen Hicks and his way of teaching of let us try to understand him. Really trying to understand the thinker you are thinking about. How do we even do that? Human nature cannot know the mystery of an art without experience. May the spirit of Sophia be with you.